everybody has heard this particular parable that Jesus gives. There was a rich man clothed in purple, and there was a poor man named Lazarus. And many, many people comment on Abraham offering to let Lazarus come and dip his finger in the water so the rich man can have a little bit of relief from his anguish. But what I want to focus on today, because again, the scriptures are very rich in terms of what they teach. And today I just want to focus on the rich man, because he tends to get ignored in this, and there's a huge lesson in here. And so it begins with the rich man, because it says, Anthropos dis in plusios. So there was a rich man. Now notice, they don't identify the man's name. And then they describe him, clothed in purple, fine linens, and feasts very well each day. And then it says, Lazarus dies. And then it says, the rich man dies. That's it. And there is the great equalizer, all right? Because there is no difference in the word death for those who are rich, for those who are poor. If we remember now from 2 Sundays ago, so we can kind of put these two together, he gives another parable about the sower and the seed. And what does he say? Jesus says now, and as for those who fell among the thorns, they are those who hear the word, but as they go on their way, they are choked by the cares and riches and pleasures of this life, and their fruit does not mature. So the church is connecting these two gospels because it talks about those who now are rich. So what we don't want to confuse here is we don't want today's parable to be a sign that it is bad to be rich and it is good to be poor. Nothing in the gospel says that the poor man was a good man. It doesn't say that. It just says that he was poor. And it doesn't say that the rich man was a bad man. It just says that he was rich. So we must not make an inference here that good and evil resides in rich and poor. So we can't do that. But what we can say now is that the poor man was given much. And Jesus says, to those whom much is given, much will be expected. Later on in the gospel, what does it say? It says, Son, remember that in your lifetime, he's talking to the rich man, that you received good things. Okay? And if we go back to the previous parable, and for those that receive then riches, they are choked by the cares and the pleasures of this life. So what Jesus is saying here, if we connect the two gospels, is that rich is not bad, but failing to recognize where those riches came from and now connecting them with God is where the sin lies. So here, the rich man has now feasted sumptuously, but has not given properly back to God. So his world was one where he sought the world to love him, and he got out of the world what he wanted. And what we are to do is we are to hate the world. So many times we're confused by that saying when Jesus says the world hated you before it hated me, and it will hate you and want to kill you. What it means is that the world will reject what good you want to do. It says to you, hey, buy the new house and buy the bigger house. Don't buy the smaller house, buy the bigger house. Don't buy a Ford, buy a Chevy. I'm only saying that because I was GM, okay? That's where that comes from, all right? Don't want a bunch of Ford people now all getting mad at me, all right? And it doesn't mean now go for the better job, even though it's not a good job, or I don't like that job because it makes more money. What it means is our first thought is always on God and what we can give back. And He provides us with good, and we use that good appropriately. And that's how we connect now the gospel. We don't make it independent things. So He's given us the example, those who are choked on their way and their fruit does not mature because of their cares and riches. And then right away, the church gives us a parable and says, here's the example. A rich man who was clothed very nicely and lives very well, and now he dies. And that is the great equalizer. And now he wants something back for that. He wants mercy now. And the answer is, remember, you had good things in your lifetime and you chose to use them poorly. So this is one of the messages of the parable today, is we connect other gospel readings that we've heard so that we can have the fullness of the message. That's the beauty of orthodoxy, is because we always read the gospel as a unit, as a single entity, and not take one parable over here and then another parable over here. We search how these things can be connected to make our lives adjust and bring us and align us more closely to our God.